As you make your way to your mat, we're going to start practice today laying down flat on your back. So making your way there in your own time. And just arriving to your mat, you can be however is comfortable. The knees can be hugged in toward the chest for a few moments. The feet can be flat on the ground, or the legs can be long on your mat. Just pausing for a few moments here with yourself. And checking in with how you're feeling right at this moment. And then we'll make our way to the feet flat on the mat and about the width of your mat as well. And you can let both knees knock in toward each other, just feeling how this really flattens out the spine on the mat. So if someone tried to slide their hand under there, it wouldn't be able to go through. Just feeling that release in the low back. Maybe bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. As you take your inhales, feel the belly expanding, breathing into that hand on the belly. And feeling it deflate as you exhale. And starting to breathe from bottom to top, inhaling into the belly and then into the heart. And exhaling, releasing from the heart and then the belly. Just feeling your own breath, feeling your own heartbeat. Stepping into that role of the observer. And for the next few breaths, just not having any control, releasing all control over the breath, over the body. Letting everything soften. Surrendering to this position, surrendering to the breath. Observing the body breathing itself. Feeling that difference of being connected to the breath and controlling the breath. Noticing how your breath is naturally. And then starting to deepen the breath. You can start to windshield wiper your knees back and forth, moving very slowly here. Just starting to really tune into every part of your body that's making contact with the floor as it touches the floor. So feeling every inch of the sit bones of the hips, the glutes, the back that is making contact with the ground as it makes contact with the ground. You can feel this massaging your glutes, maybe lingering a bit longer if it feels really good in one area. And the next time both of your knees are dropped off to the right, just leave them there. You can release the arms from the belly, from the heart. Just let them rest wherever they're comfortable. And then maybe you can start to slide the right ankle on top of the left knee. If that feels really awful on the knee, just skip that. Just breathing here for a few moments. And then you can start to slide that ankle off of the knee and then start to hug the left knee into the chest, bringing it up and over the right knee. Coming into this little twist here just to start the practice. Feeling your body just loosening, surrendering every time you exhale. And you can just slide that left foot back to where it was before on the left edge of your mat as you bring both knees back up to center, and take a few more windshield wipers here. And then the next time your knees are off to the left side of your mat, just leave them here. And move through that same little twisting sequence on the other side, maybe bringing the left ankle on top of the right knee. And you can start to slide that ankle off of the knee and really hug the right knee over the left and closer to the chest, coming into this reclined twist on the other side. Just making sure to keep both of your shoulders glued to the mat. And letting the knee go only as far as the shoulder allows. And for 3 more deep exhales. Slowly starting to bring the right foot back to where it was before. And then hugging both knees in toward the chest. When you're ready, gently rocking side to side. You can massage the low back here. And in your own way, we're going to make our way into a tabletop. So whether you want to roll on the length of the spine, you can grab the backs of the knees here and start kicking the legs, rolling on the length of the spine for a few rounds. If that feels really good, you can stay here a little bit longer, but whenever you're ready, you can cross the ankles, roll over the shins, and come into your tabletop. So just checking in with your alignment here, feeling the shoulders over the wrists, spreading the fingers really wide, rooting down in the base of the thumb and the base of the pinky a little bit more. Feeling yourself actively push into the ground. And then feel the hips right over the knees and the toes in line with the knees, so hidden behind the thighs. And then start to push down in the tops of the feet and the shins. And feel how that really activates the core, and maybe you can slightly lift the knees, bring them to hover for 3 breaths. And we can slowly release the knees down to the ground. Drop the belly as you inhale, lift the gaze and the tailbone to your cow pose. And we'll exhale, pull the navel into the spine, tuck the chin and the tailbone to your cat pose. And inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. Really feel the shoulder blades pulling together, maybe bending the elbows and feeling like you're pulling the heart down and through, down and forward. And then we'll exhale and pull the heart back, push the ground away from you. So you can just keep moving through any version of cat-cows that you would like. If you'd like to take 2 breaths, an inhale and an exhale in your cow, and then an inhale and your exhale in your cat, or maybe just 1 breath per movement. And maybe adding in some of that core work that we just did if you'd like. So maybe inhaling into your cow and exhaling to a cat, hovering the knees. Really feeling that resistance from the ground, really pushing yourself away. Maybe wagging the tail. You can look back at either hip, rolling out the hips and the shoulders. Just make sure the eyes stay closed here, so it can give you a little bit more of a chance to tune into your own body rather than the mind, thinking about what you look like. You can feel free to take any movements that just feels right. And then just letting the body move itself. Breathe itself, move itself, just starting to link up your breath with your movement. Not questioning a thing. And then when when you feel nice and loose, you can come back to your neutral tabletop and leave the hips right where they are. Walk the hands forward, melt the heart down into your puppy pose. So forehead or the chin can come to the mat or a block. Really feel the shoulder blades actively pulling together as you surrender fully in the front of the heart. So a tricky balance between an active posture and a passive posture. Taking deep, full breaths here. And 3 more exhales. And start to pull the navel up to the spine and walk your hands back up under the shoulders. And from here, we're just going to extend your right leg back behind you. So bring the toes, the pads of the toes to the ground and feel yourself reaching through the heel. Really extending through the right heel. And just feeling how that shifts the weight in the rest of your body. So feeling how the hands and the left foot takes on a little bit more. Just not having the right knee there to support your tabletop. And then you can start to hover the toes off of the ground and feel like your leg is lifting from the core. Feeling the core lifting the leg up, but keeping the leg strong as well. So reaching through that heel, letting the right leg be an extension of your spine. And we always include the neck in the spine as well. So making sure that the back of your neck is long, so the chin is slightly tucked. And really staying actively pushing into the hands, the base of the thumb and the pinky, and even the top of the back foot. If this is hard on the knees, you can always bring a blanket or double up your mat here under the knees. And then slowly we'll start to extend the left arm forward. You can bring tented fingertips to the ground, just feeling how that shifts the balance just a little bit. And when you're ready, you can bring that arm to hover as well. So the palm can face in toward the body. And feeling that really straight line from the fingertips through the heel. So its opposite limbs are lifted. The left arm is lifted straight forward in line with the shoulder, and the right foot is lifted in line with the hip. And then you can bring your left elbow down to a place where your hand was, and the sole of, or the palm of your left hand's coming to the ground. And then start to tuck your left sit bone under. So feeling how that action kind of stacks the right hip on top of the left. And maybe coming onto tented fingertips on the right hand, maybe turning to face your right. And if this is good for you, you're more than welcome to stay here. And if you want something a little bit more, start to really root down in the left hand and let that action straighten out the left arm. And if you'd like a little bit more help with the balance, you can turn your toes to face your left or the left side of the mat. And then maybe you can lift the right arm, bend the right knee, reach back and grab that foot or ankle. And start to just kick into that foot. Taking a few more breaths here. Really focusing on everything that's touching the floor. Finding your stability in your base and your foundation. And then you can gently start to release that leg, moving very slowly here. Bringing the right arm back under the shoulder. You can scooch the left arm back under that shoulder and bring your knee back to the ground. Maybe wiggle the hips, take a few cat-cows before we do the same thing on the other side. So whenever you're ready, you can extend the left toes back behind you. So pausing here for a few moments. Just starting to feel into the other side, getting this nice stretch in the calf, reaching through that heel, maybe a little bit of buoyancy here. And still feeling, even though the toes aren't lifted just yet, still feeling that leg reaching from the core. And then you can start to use the core to lift that foot up, bringing the leg to hover, but bringing it in line with the hips. So feeling the left side of the core activate, feeling how that pulls in. So you're not dumping down here, the hips are level, actively reaching up. Just feeling how the rest of the points touching the floor really take on a little bit more of the pressure here. And then you can extend your right arm forward, bringing the tented fingertips to the ground. The arm is straight. Just feeling how that shifts the balance a little bit as well. And when you're ready, bringing that hand to hover as well, palm facing in toward the body. So really feeling that space from the right fingertips through the left heel. You can imagine that someone's pulling your arm forward and someone else is pulling your leg back. So it's making it a little bit easier maybe. And then really slowly, with control, bring the elbow down to replace where the hand was. And the hand comes flat to the ground. And then feeling like you're tucking your right sit bone under. Feeling how that automatically stacks the left hip on top of the right. And you're welcome to stay here, maybe coming onto tented fingertips, turning to look toward your left, maybe even up to the ceiling. And then start to really root down, if you want something more, rooting down in the right hand. Slowly, with control, straightening out the right arm. Maybe turning the toes to face the right side of the mat. And if it's available, bringing the left hand back to grab hold of the left foot or ankle. And feeling yourself kicking into that hand. So feeling the top of the left foot or the ankle, actively pushing into the left hand, opening up that, and still feeling the right hand and the right foot and shin actively pushing into the ground. Noticing if this feels a lot different on one side versus the other. And you can let the neck be wherever it's relatively comfortable. For a few more breaths here. And then very slowly, you can release your grip on the foot. Bring that hand back down under the left shoulder. Slide the right hand back under that shoulder and replace that knee down to the ground. Take any movements that feels good. When you're ready, we'll come into your downward facing dog. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips up. Just letting it go here and still keeping that same idea we were doing in tabletop. So really pushing into the ground with the hands. Lifting the hips as high as you can get. If you want a little foot stretch, you can bend the knees, bring the heels up over the balls of the feet, and you keep lifting the hips really high, stretching out the feet, and then letting each heel reach toward the ground. If you want stillness here, finding that stillness right away. And if you want to get some movements out, doing that and making your way into stillness with both heels reaching toward the ground. Releasing it all here. And then we'll slowly start to walk your hands back toward the feet. But feel like you're moving from the shoulders. You can imagine a lion here. So the shoulders rolling is what's moving your hands back. Landing in a halfway lift as you inhale, tabletop spine. And exhale to your forward fold. You can really release here, hang in ragdoll. Just bending the knees very generously, let the belly rest toward the thighs. And feel the torso super heavy, letting gravity do most of the work. And then one vertebrae at a time, we'll start to roll the body up to stand. And once you get to the top, you can roll the shoulders back and bring the palms to face outward in your mountain pose. So standing here in your mountain pose, Feel in your own body, your head over your heart, over the hips, over the heels. Feel the four corners of each of your feet rooting into the earth, the toes gripping into the earth, leg muscles activated, heart is proud, chin is slightly tucked, crown of the head is lifted. In mountain pose, we're connected to the earth and to the heavens as well. So feeling that security beneath you and that light to lifted sensation above you. And next inhale, sweep both arms up and over your head. And exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, let it go. And as you inhale, start to walk your hands forward into a plank position. Again, moving from the shoulders just like a lion. Feeling the shoulders over the wrists and the heels reaching back. Feeling the belly pull in toward the spine, back of the heart stays lifted. Feeling yourself pushing the ground away. Always an option to bring the knees down here as well. And then we're just going to bend the elbows alongside the ribs and bring yourself in one piece all the way down to the mat, feeling that resistance. And once you arrive, you can root the tops of your feet into the mat and then start to pull the pelvic floor in toward the navel, but at the same time releasing the glutes. And then bring the shoulder blades together down the back, feeling how that lifts the heart. Elbows are pulling in toward each other. Maybe the hands can hover here. Chin is staying tucked, the spine is staying long. Baby cobra. And exhale, release. Inhale, we're going to lift one more time, bringing the pelvic floor in toward the navel, lifting the heart, shoulder blades coming together. Maybe this time you can push into the ground a little bit more, coming into a full cobra, but keeping the elbows pretty bent here and just feeling the shoulder blades pull together and down and releasing your glutes at the same time, noticing when you tense up the glutes how it kind of pinches the low back. So we don't want that. So keeping the tops of the feet rooted, pelvic floor pulling up, breathing here. And exhale, slowly release down to your mat. And keeping the hands under the shoulders, elbows close to the ribs, start to pull the navel into the spine this time, feeling the belly lift away from the floor. And then feel like you're pushing the ground away from you. You can come back up through your plank or your tabletop. And we'll tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Letting it go here. And next inhale, we'll raise the right leg back and up. So throughout the practice, tabletop can be used as your down dog. So what we did before in tabletop, raising the right leg back, that is a modification for your down dog with the right leg raised, or a three-legged dog. But we're keeping the same idea. So if you're in down dog, keeping that same idea that we did in tabletop. So feeling the leg lifting from the core, reaching through the right heel, and feeling the other parts touching the floor, taking on that extra pressure, really pushing into the ground with the two hands and the foot. Feeling the stretch down the back of the left leg as well. And then start to tuck your left sit bone under, feeling how that automatically stacks the right hip on top of the left. Maybe bending that knee, pointing that toe, squaring off the shoulders to the mat. A few more breaths here. You can have this be pretty fluid, taking some fluid movements, or be still, whatever feels right. And then staying in the down dog stance, you can level out the hips, reach that leg long back behind you, and then start to pull your knee in toward the chest. So staying in the down dog stance, but using your core to pull that knee in. And then come onto your left tippy toes, and then shift your shoulders over your wrists, and let the foot come down between the hands. So the right foot's at the top of the mat, and you're in this low lunge, so you can adjust your stance as you need to. Maybe you're shifting forward and back here. Starting to feel into the left hip flexor. And then you can allow the back knee to come down to the mat, untuck those toes, and start to walk the hands up alongside the hips. So bring the torso up over the hips. You can bring both hands to interlace on top of the right knee, or you can bring both hands up to the sky, to heart center, wherever it feels right. And feeling like your inner thighs are coming in toward each other. The right knee is reaching toward the right pinky toe, feeling the four corners of the right foot as well. Still keeping the idea of feeling every part that's touching the floor. And then if your hands are not at heart center, you can bring them down to heart center and then start to twist to your right. So maybe you can hook the left elbow outside of the right knee. And still pushing the palms into each other, maybe looking back over the right shoulder. And you can start to unwind the twist and start to lift the sit bones back and up, letting that action straighten out the front leg, coming onto the right heel, stretching out the right hamstring here. Letting the toes point toward the ceiling, pulling back the right hip, feeling that space from the hip through the heel. Breathing here. And you can bring the left hand either to the right ankle or the outside of the right foot, and bring the right hand back to your sit bones. Start to open your heart up to the right. Maybe you can reach back with that right hand. Feeling this a little deeper down the right IT band. Might be a little wobbly here, and that's okay. Breathing. Really staying with the breath for 3 more rounds. And you can bring the hands back to frame your front foot, re-bend the front leg, tuck your back toes, lift the back knee, and step back to a plank position. You can do what we did before, lower to the ground, take baby cobra. You can lower halfway, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale to an up dog or a cobra, and exhale to your downward facing dog. So noticing the difference in the sides of the body before we even ourselves out. And when you're ready, you can raise the left leg back and up as you inhale. Same thing over here. So keeping that leg reaching from the core, reaching through the left heel. And feeling your left leg really an extension of the spine, of the arms and the spine. Actively reaching up. And then you can start to roll your right sit bone under, feeling how that stacks the left hip on top of the right. Taking any little movements that feels good. You can bend the knee, take some circles with the ankle, the knee. And you can start to level up the hips, reach that leg long back behind you, and then use the core and a cat spine to pull your left knee into the chest. Come onto the right tippy toes as you shift the shoulders over the wrists and let the foot come down to the top of your mat. And same thing, adjusting your stance here if you need to. Maybe taking some rocks forward and back, feeling into that right hip flexor. And when you're ready, let the back knee come down to the mat, untuck those toes, and start to walk the hands up to about hip level. And the hands can come interlaced on top of the left knee. You can come reaching up to the ceiling or to heart center. Feeling the four corners of the left foot actively reach into the ground. And keeping that front knee over the front ankle. Maybe the inner thighs feeling like they're coming in toward each other, getting a little more stability. And bring the hands to heart center. If they're not there, start to twist to your left. Maybe hooking the right elbow outside of the left knee. Three more breaths here. And you can start to turn forward, squaring off the shoulders, and then lift the sit bones back and up, letting that straighten out the left leg. Toes reaching up toward the ceiling. Feeling the back of your knee pretty bright here, so feeling the left hip pulling back and the space from the hip through the heel. Surrendering here over the left leg. And you can bring the right hand to the left ankle or outside of the left foot, and then start to bring the left fingertips back to the sit bones, then open up the heart to your left. Maybe reaching back with that hand. And if you need some extra balance, you're welcome to bring the right hand down to the floor. My balance is a little shaky today. But just feeling that space from the outside edge of your foot through the outside of the leg, all the way through the fingertips. So feeling like the left hand and the left foot are reaching in opposite directions. Feeling this down the IT band. And you can bring the hand back to frame the front foot, rebend the front leg, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step back to a plank, move through a vinyasa, and we'll meet in a downward facing dog. Once you arrive, you can bend the knees, look forward, and start to tiptoe up to meet your hands. And feel like the legs are moving from the abs, from the core. And feel like the core is pulling your right leg up and your left leg up, moving 1 inch at a time. When you arrive, landing in a halfway lift as you inhale. And exhale, releasing forward fold. Inhale, root to rise. Sweep the arms out and up. And exhale, swan dive back down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise once more. And exhale, hands to heart center. So just checking back in with yourself here. You can let the eyes close and just really feel the heart beating into your thumbs and the thumbs beating back into the heart. Feeling every point of your palms and fingers pushing into each other. Reminding yourself why you practice today. And we'll start to slow down the practice a bit more, coming into some more seated and deepening. So whenever you are ready, you can inhale both arms up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And let it go. Plant your hands down. Inhale back to your plank position. You can move through one more vinyasa if you'd like, and we'll meet in a downward facing dog. And once you're in your down dog, you can slowly start to bend the knees and let them find the mat. Untuck the toes, sit the hips down on the heels, come into your child's pose. So if you'd like to focus more on the spine today, you can bring the toes together, knees together, And if you'd like to focus more on the hips, you can bring the toes together and the knees as wide as your mat. Wherever you are, surrendering fully into your mat, into this posture. Sometimes it can feel good to bring the arms back behind you, tops of the hands coming to the ground. Maybe even the hands back behind your back, grabbing opposite wrists. Just letting the breath slow down. And slowly, we'll start to rise up to sit on the ankles. So either pushing the backs of the hands into the mat, walking the hands back toward the sit bones. Very gently, you can bring yourself up to your seat. And then we'll just shift the weight to either side of your feet and then bring the legs out long in front of you. Scooching yourself to the center of your mat. If you're not there, you can extend the legs long, shake them out. And then we're going to bring the top of your left foot right beside the left hip. So if that feels really awful on the knee or on the leg, you can bring the sole of the left foot inside of the right thigh. So 2 options here. So wherever you are, you can start to really feel both sit bones rooting down equally. So you might feel like the right sit bone or the left sit bone's a little bit lifted. You can always slide something under there if you'd like, a blanket or block or something. But really feeling the security in both sit bones, feeling the torso very straight over the sit bones, and then start to walk the hands forward, hinging at the hips, leading with the heart. You can let the right foot be flexed and the toes reaching up toward the ceiling. So really feeling this hamstring stretch on the right side. And every time you inhale, find some more length in the spine. So feeling like the crown of the head's reaching up, really lengthening the spine. And then every time you exhale, find yourself hinging a little bit deeper. So even if you grow the spine by 1 millimeter and hinge by 1 millimeter each time, just really keeping every breath linked with a movement. The inhales linked with lengthening, and the exhales linked with hinging. And once you find your natural limit, just resting here, breathing here. Then you can reach the left hand to the outside of the right foot, the right ankle, the right calf, and we'll bring the right hand back to the sit bones and then start to peel the heart open to your right. We're doing a similar thing to what we were doing before. And then you can reach that arm back behind you. So again, feeling that space from the right foot through the right fingertips. And maybe if it feels okay, you can start to bend your right leg, bring the hand back behind you this time, and then extend that leg into the hand. So you can start off like this with the right knee bent, holding onto the outside of that foot or the ankle, and then kick the foot into the hand as you lift the heart. Feeling the heart really come square to your right, keeping the hips square to the front. So keeping the sole of that foot reaching forward, actively pushing into the hand. Maybe reaching the arm up behind you or on the ground, wherever is good for you. And then you can bring the shoulders back to square your leg and grab hold of the leg with both of your arms. So you can grab the leg, you can grab the foot into your heron pose here. So feeling the heart lifting up toward the shin. Pushing the heart toward the shin, breathing here, a few more breaths. Maybe playing around with pointing the toe, flexing the foot, whatever really feels right in your own body. And then very slowly you can start to extend the arms and let that leg float down to your mat. We'll bring the left leg back out, extend that, you shake it out. And then we'll come to do that on the other side whenever you're ready. So you can bring the top of the right foot right beside the right hip. Or again, the sole of the right foot inside of the left thigh. And again here, we're just feeling both sit bones rooting down, making any small adjustments you need to. Just getting comfortable on this side. Left toes are pointing toward the ceiling. Inhales, find length in the spine. Exhales, hinge. Inhales, length. And exhale to hinge. So moving through this hamstring stretch on the other side. I'm starting to warm up the left leg. And then you can bring the right hand outside of the left foot or the left ankle and bring the left hand back to the sit bones. Then peel the heart open to your left. So getting this little twist here with the leg on the ground first. And then maybe reaching that arm back behind you, feeling that IT band, feeling the space from the fingertips down the outside of the leg, through the foot. And if it feels okay, you can bring the hand back behind you. Really bend the left knee. So the left hand's coming behind the sit bones for support. Bend, the left knee is bent, holding onto that foot, or preferably the foot, but the ankle is okay too. And then start to straighten out your left leg just by kicking that foot forward, kicking it into the hand. And then feeling the shoulders really square off to your left, hips really stay squared to the front. And you can always check in, so looking down at your hips, making sure they're square to the front, and then looking at your shoulders, making sure they're square to the right, the left, sorry. I guess it's the same thing. Just really paying attention to every little part of your alignment. Maybe the left arm can lift and reach back. And you can feel like you're pulling the navel into the spine, just feeling how this creates a little bit more space to twist. Maybe the gaze can look over the left thumb, the left fingertips. And you can bring the shoulders back to square your left leg. Grab hold of that leg with both of your arms. You can grab the foot, the ankle, the calf, and then start to really bend the arms and just pull this leg closer to the heart. So feel the heart lifting into the leg reaching back into the heart. Breathing here, a few more rounds of breath. And then very slowly you can start to straighten out the arms. Maybe just walk the hands up the leg, just slowly lowering that leg down to the ground, treating it with care. And then you can unwind your right leg, shake them out, maybe tap down the knees, do a little massage here, if that feels okay. And then when you're ready, we'll make our way down to lay on our backs. So you can bring the soles of the feet to the floor and either reach forward. If you want a little extra core work, you can reach forward and slowly bring yourself down, or you can just grab the backs of the knees and slowly roll the spine down to lay on your back. And allow the feet to come mats width distance. And we'll just do those windshield wipers that we did to start the practice. Just windshield wipering the knees back and forth. Hopefully feeling a little bit looser than when we started the practice. Massaging those glutes, releasing the spine. And before we finish for this practice, we're going to come into one more hip stretch. So you bring the soles of the feet in line with the hips, just right under the knees. And then bring the right foot up to the ceiling. Let's kind of straighten out this leg. Just have the sole of the foot reach up, really flexing the right foot. And then you can bend the right knee and start to bring the outside of your right ankle on top of the left thigh. So keeping that foot really flexed. And you can let the knee be heavy. So feel like the knee is pushing away from you and the right foot stays flexed. Feeling this in the right hip. And then if this is okay for you, you can stay here. This is totally fine. And if you'd like a little bit deeper, you can start to raise the left toes off of the ground and thread the needle, bringing this right hand through that space and grabbing the back of your left thigh, interlacing the hands here. So you can feel like the left thigh is pulling in toward you. So you're bringing your right ankle closer to you, and then feel your right elbow at the same time pushing your right knee away from you. So this is reclined pigeon. So this is the other option for pigeon pose. If pigeon pose is something that interests you, but it's maybe a little bit too deep for where you're at in your practice right now, this is the same stretch, just a little change in gravity. So feel free to take this posture if you're in a class, for instance, where they suggest pigeon pose. Know that this is an option too. And sometimes when we're in a class, we feel really pressured to do everything the teacher says. And sometimes that can be a little harmful to our bodies. So just make sure that you know where you're at in your practice. And know that there are options for every posture. There are modifications. So asking your teacher if you're unsure, or just knowing your own body, just feeling free to say no if something feels wrong. Knowing your limit. And if you want a little hamstring stretch here too, you can extend the left leg as well. So you're getting this hamstring stretch in the left leg and this nice hip stretch in the right. And 5 more breaths wherever you are. And then if the left leg was extended, you can start to bend that knee. Bring the sole of that foot back to the ground. And then just let the left knee tip off to the left. So the sole of your right foot is coming to the ground, to the left side of your mat. Maybe you can pull that ankle in a little closer and then keep that knee pushing away from you. So the sole of the foot's on the ground, knees pointing up, and keeping your right shoulder glued to the mat. So feeling this type of twist here. And then you can start to let the right knee just relax and fall down to the ground, coming into a full reclined supine twist here. And then slowly bringing both knees back up to center. You can hug both knees into the chest for a moment or two. And then just allow both feet to find the mat right under the knees, closer to the hips. And when you're ready, you can extend the left leg up to the ceiling. And then start to bend the left knee, bring the left outside of the left ankle on top of the right thigh, closer to the knee. And keep that knee pushing away from you. Keep the left foot flexed. Staying here if this is good. And if you'd like something a little deeper, if you did so on the other side, you can start to float the right toes off of the mat. Thread the needle, bringing the hands to wrap around the right thigh. And then keep the left elbow pushing into the knee. So the ankle is coming closer to you, the knee is going further away from you. So they're about even. And you can stay here if this is good. And if you would like to extend the right leg, come into a little hamstring stretch on the right leg, and you can do so. And take 5 more deep breaths here. And slowly you can start to bend your right leg if it was extended. Bring the sole of that foot back to the ground. And then let the right knee tip off to the right. So the sole of the left foot coming to the ground on the right side of the mat. And the knee pointing toward the ceiling into this reclined twist. And when you're ready, you can just let the right knee fall closer to the ground, coming into this fuller expression of this reclined supine twist. Keeping the left shoulder glued to your mat. When you're ready, you can hug both knees into the chest, bringing the torso back in line. And taking any final movements that you feel you need to take. If you'd like to come into a happy baby, grabbing the outsides of the feet or the toes, rocking side to side. When you're ready, bring the soles of the feet to touch, outside edges of the feet finding the mat, knees dropping off to the sides. You can roll the sit bones back, roll the shoulder blades under the spine, palms facing upwards, or the palms coming to the low belly, making a diamond shape with the thumbs and the pointers. Breathing into the low belly, breathing into the hips, surrendering here. If this feels really nice for you, you're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. And whenever you do feel ready, you can straighten out the legs, bring the palms to face upward by your side into your final Shavasana. Allowing the body to surrender into the earth. Feeling all the tension just release as the healing benefits of this practice swim throughout your body. Letting every muscle roll off of the bones. Feeling the pulsing throughout your entire body. Scanning the body from head to toe. Releasing as much as you can. allowing the breath to slow down so much it becomes almost non-existent. The body gently breathing itself. Feeling all the muscles in the face just soften and release. Feeling the pulsing warmth of the crown of your head. And resting here for as long as you'd like. Thank you for practicing with me today, and thank yourself for showing up for yourself today. Namaste.